Trump just won the US presidency again. America loves repeating history. Slavery being repeated through reform. White supremacy repeated through reform. Indigenous genocide being repeated through reform. History is repeating itself. We haven't escaped our original sins. And if Trump won before, he can win again. And the conditions that made it possible for him to win before have only gotten worse, theoretically. And then I also kind of said, but we are in a different moment, and I do think, here's what I'll say. I don't like that Trump won. I also didn't want Kamala to win. I didn't want any president. I think actually seeing Trump win, oh my God. Like, I woke up and I immediately started thinking of my family, my mother, my cousins, my aunts. I started thinking about family that are undocumented and have been deported that I don't talk to for emotional reasons. I started thinking about all of the silences in my life that immigration and deportation and ICE has caused. Growing up with a stepfather who was incarcerated for a number of years because of the deportation process. And it flashed all that into my mind, and I immediately thought, I need to call my family. And so I called my mom, and then I started talking to friends and went about my day, went into the different kind of things that I'm doing, organizing politically right now, and doing those things in an area that is really important to me in a way that was very direct and tangibly helpful, in terms of the organizing that I'm doing right now. That felt really fucking important. And I think what I also mean by this is when America happens to us, when colonization happens to us, when white supremacy happens to us, fascism, xenophobia, America isn't something to survive, it's something to overcome. It's something to surpass. We need to be educated about whatever policies and legislation could be presented nationally, locally, in your cities, in your states. We need to be studying the politicians that are going to be representing us on a local level, Senate, House, whatever it may be. We need to study these politicians, understand what they're doing, when they're doing it, where their meetings are, so people can show up on a local level and express their disapproval, resort to direct action. We need to be very real about what anti-fascism and what anti-repression work is, and how anti-fascism involves researching people and entities that aim to spread bigotry, enact political violence, are fucking white supremacists, whatever you want to call it. Understanding how their groups move, understanding where their meetings are, understanding when they're showing up to random ass towns so you can warn people, so people can gather and figure out how to defend themselves. It's about understanding what a even more xenophobic immigration system than the one that we already have, which regularly destroys humanitarian aid intervention through deterrence. We need to organize locally, anti-fascistly. We need to understand what politicians are thinking, doing, saying, and we need to get serious about what does it look like to protect each other in our communities? What does it look like to not wait for the state to come and save you, but for you and your comrades and your friends and your affinity group and your neighborhood to save yourselves, to defend yourselves. Real things that any marginalized community has had to do throughout history to survive the tyranny of white supremacy, colonization, or America. That's just the reality. We have to tap back into that reality. This is all wild. It's wild. It's wild. It's wild. It's wild that the last time that Trump won, I was in Standing Rock. And it's wild that I am where I am now. It's like, life is wild. So much of American citizenship and assimilation is about accepting very specific forms of violence exactly where the state determines it should happen. Violence happens to migrants or people who are undocumented. It happens to criminals, drug dealers, black dudes in the streets. It happens to people who walk home alone at night and wear certain kinds of clothes. It happens to anyone that is the other from whiteness and colonization. And we exist within a country that has institutions that commit violence. And we're asked to accept that. And as Malcolm X would say, I think the chickens are coming home to roost. And we have to figure out how to be organized to protect ourselves and to protect each other. Because this is what America has let happen. And we were a part of America. And some of us voted for Donald Trump and some of us didn't. Some of us didn't. Some of us didn't. A lot of people don't deserve this. But I also don't see a way that America can really ever get better because it refuses to repair. It refuses to to literally repair, to offer reparations, to offer land back, to offer a weapons embargo. And this greed, this individualism, this desire to be the best of all with the least of knowledge, or giving its citizens the least of knowledge, it leads to exactly where we are, a disinformation hellscape, once again orchestrated by white supremacists. And it happened because the Democratic Party wanted to lean so center and so right that it couldn't show enough moral clarity about what is humane during an election year. And that failed a lot of fucking people, and a lot other people. He'll help the economy. Tax cuts. He's a liar and people are believing it, just like she's a liar and people were believing it. And they were telling different kinds of lies. But they're both still liars. I don't know.